Check. Lions on the prowl, lions on the prowl. Always put in work, always going wild. Lions on the prowl, lions on the prowl. Always put in work, always going wild. Best quarterbacks you ever heard. Get up, Matthew Stafford, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones. They gon' get it in the zone. No matter how they try to fan, Darius Slay gon' get it in. That Patricia Ball Grant, making sure our players win. Got a dangerous offensive, they always bring the pain. Talking about that Ricky Wagner, can't forget about TJ Lane. Detroit Lions got it locked. Tim and Jim gon' let you know. This the Lions on the prowl. Come on, time to start the show.
Welcome to Lions on the Prowl. My name is Jim.
And representing all you Lions maniacs out there, Maniac Tim here. And who brings us here today?
Today we're brought to you by West Michigan Nutrition. They're located on 1705 Beacon Boulevard in Grand Haven, Michigan. Stop in and see them and get a nutritious, delicious shake and also an energizing tea. And I do get those just about every morning. I'm not kidding. That's my thing. So that's why I help them out, and they help us out by sponsoring the show.
Right.
But we are looking for new sponsors, and if you are interested in sponsorship of the show, we are accepting new sponsors. And our email address is lionsontheprowl14@gmail.com. We do have a Facebook group, and we also are on Twitter at LOTP14.
And also, new this week on iHeartRadio.
This is big news. We are on iHeartRadio right now. And if you look up Lions on iHeartRadio, we're the number one podcast on there. It's just amazing to go to my Alexa thing and say, I've got it to computer because I'm a nerd and I like Star Trek. But so I went to it and I changed the name to computer, the little Echo Dot that I have. And I said, computer, play Lions on the Prowl. And I went and got our episode. And I thought that was amazing. I thought it was pretty cool. So we're at that, and we're on Spotify now as well.
Yep.
A lot of people like Spotify. So we are also on Spotify. We're on iTunes. But please follow us on iHeartRadio or any of the medium that we come out on. We appreciate your listenership. The listens have been up, and we really appreciate that.
Any shout-outs this week?
It's been a rough week. This is going to sound really dumb, and that's okay because I don't care. It's my show. Our friend and our pet, our cat, Scar Kitty, died last night. He's been with us for 12 years, and this is really hard right now. It's tough to do the show because he's been a friend of the family for a long time. He was brought to us abused. Actually, the cat was thrown at me and said, "Do you want a cat?" He was very, very mean to people at first, and he became the most lovable cat ever, and he died Friday night, and we're recording this Saturday night. So it's been a difficult thing, so my shout-out is to my lost friend, Scar.
And, connections between pets are family members, and I do feel for you, Jim.
Thanks.
And he was a real great cat.
He was. And I'm sorry, guys. I mean, this is Lions on the Prowl. It's about the Detroit Lions and all that. So I apologize for putting the personal stuff in there, but I had to. That's what we do with the shout-out thing, and so that's what I did. Tim, you got any shout-outs this week?
Yep. Okay, Steve Foss. He's a maintenance guy from work. Also, my buddy Jim here, podcast partner. My wife Sherry and her sister Mindy. She just went back to work after being off for so long for her cancer. Yeah.
So she's back to work. That's amazing news, guys. Everybody that is listening out there, she was going through cancer. And so, the last few episodes, you probably heard about that. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
That happened. I also want to give a shout out to my wife, Val. She's been going through it too with me at this whole thing. And it's been just like an emptiness in the house at this point. So it's been a difficult road. So we're going to get on with the show this week. Yep. Unfortunately, we don't have a Legend of the Week this week. It's usually done by me or Val, and then with everything going on and the week going on, we usually get that done probably on Thursday, Friday, something like that. We had a Legend of the Week done for us by Val, but it was Mel Gray, and we had already done Mel earlier in the week. But it's just been a miscommunication this week, and also with everything that happened, then we just didn't get it done this week, and we apologize for that. Next week, Legend of the Week is going to be Lomas Brown.
Yep. And he's actually a broadcast team.
He is.
Yep.
We were talking about Jim Brandstetter last week.
Right.
He's going to be replacing him. That's why we wanted to make him the Legend of the Week so that people knew who he was and things like that. But there was a mix-up, so we apologize for that.
Yep. So, Jim, what do you think would be the ingredients for success for the Lions?
This year?
For this year, yep.
Prayers? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. There's some things, of course, we've looked up and researched and stuff like this, but the offense is key.
Right.
The offense is key. Matthew Stafford staying healthy is the number one priority this year.
Yeah, that's true.
And as it is most years right now, but that's the number one thing. If Stafford goes down, this team is screwed, pretty much.
And, of course, the offense line, too, staying healthy and performing, putting things together.
Yep, the offensive line just gelling together and getting that camaraderie and knowing what each other's going to do, because each part plays as a unit.
Right.
And so you have to know what those parts are doing, and it takes a while to get that going.
Right.
I would say number one, Stafford staying healthy. Number two, the defense and how they perform. And number three is the running game, which kind of includes the offensive line. But I don't think the running game is the most important thing, because we went 9-7 without one.
Yeah.
So we're capable of doing it without that. But if we have even the respect of a running game, I think we're going to do really, really good. And offensively, we could do much better. But there's always things that happen. So it's like you always got to take into that account.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I'll ask that question to you. What do you think the ingredients are to have a successful season?
I actually think that we have put in place the ingredients.
Okay.
And I think that what they need to do is first they need to conceive that they can do it. Because once we get to the point that we are capable and can actually see that picture, that winning trophy, that Super Bowl trophy, then we start to believe.
So who currently has it? We can go visit. No.
If the Lions as a player, like you said, we already went 9-7 with just a receiving, no running game.
Right.
No offensive line to really speak of that gelled together.
Right.
Now we added that. We made changes to the coaching and also the front office, the recruiting. And I think that even though we have done these things before, some of them, I don't think it's been done as well as it's been this time.
And I think there's some things, like you said, that I want to go a little bit deeper into, is Matt Patricia.
Right.
And the change from Caldwell to Patricia.
Oh, yeah.
Patricia could have been a rocket scientist. Seriously, he's that smart. Could have been an engineer. I guess he was going to be an engineer. Real smart, numbers, logical guy. I think that's something that we need. And I'm going to break this down. We were going to talk about this because we talked about it pre-show. The bend that don't break defense or whatever that he has. But there are so many ingredients to winning a football game.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to break down some of the things that he's going to be doing, that I believe he's going to be doing, based on what he did in New England and based on what New England does. So New England basically has a philosophy that we will outscore you.
Right.
We have the people in place to do that.
Yep.
So breaking that down, the bend but don't break defense, they average less points given up than they averaged points for. So if you're going to do that, that's a winning formula. They were the number one team starting position on defense. So it's 24.4 yard line. Or they averaged the 24-yard line for opposing offenses to start. What that means is they have to march all the way down the field. And with the bend but don't break defense, they give you the short stuff, but they really defend the back. So you're not giving up big plays. You're making them work and making them use more opportunities. So they had 40 interceptions. I think it was 40 interceptions last year, which is top 7 in the league. And the reason for that was because they made them run extra plays.
Yeah.
Every play you run, there's a chance to make a mistake.
Mhm.
So the philosophy is give them a chance to shoot
Right.
themselves in the foot, first of all. So that part of it is going to play a big factor when we have a good punter
Yep.
in Sam Martin. So expect percentages. So like
Okay.
if it's 4th and 1 on the 40, we're not going for it.
Right.
Because we don't want to put our defense in that position.
Mhm.
And these are the things that he's going to think about, which may be a little more conservative looking on the surface, but the numbers behind those, behind that is
Right.
what he's looking at.
And basically, it's a kind of a mathematical equation to really produce wins,
Right.
which is good. Of course, it's not only math; it's knowing how to play, knowing
It's-
where you want your people,
It's putting
knowing
it-
when.
yeah, it's putting
Yep.
everybody. You can break this down to plays,
Right,
where he's going and putting the best defense in there for each team
right.
each
Which is,
week, right? And playing percentages again to give
Yeah.
our people the best chance to win. Adjustments in game,
yeah,
adjustments per play.
right. And that's one of the things that the Lions have been not known for doing is making adjustments.
Yeah, they've been known
You
for
know.
making mistakes.
Right.
And I think with Patricia, there'll be a lot less, I'm not going to say a lot less mistakes, but
Right.
a lot less coaching buffoonery and
Oh, yeah.
mistakes. And I'll take the wind and all
Right.
this junk. Those type of things.
Right.
And breaking that down, right? It's like
Yeah.
coaches before 4th and 1 goal line, let's not go for
Mm-hmm.
it, or stupid things like that. Because then the other team's starting at the 1.
Right.
You got to think about those type of things.
Yep.
Kick the field goal, yeah, you get points. The strategy in New England was if the other team scored a field goal, so be it, but we won't let them score a touchdown.
Right.
Because we know that Tom Brady's going to go
Right.
down the field and get a touchdown, and
Mhm.
they can't match us field goals for touchdowns.
Right. Now, of course, one of the things that both me and you were discussing before between each other, and not only this time, is that just the word, the bend but don't break defense. Because in the past, we have had this philosophy with the Lions. They have played that, and unfortunately, they broke at the end.
Yeah, and
You know.
that's the thing, and that's what scares me because
Right.
most of the time, and this is most of the time,
Yeah.
every part of football, the bend but don't break defense just allows touchdowns
Right.
or allows points,
But-
and never seems to work.
Except
But-
for like the Patriots.
because they don't play it all
Yeah.
the time, too.
Right.
I mean, there's a difference. Like the Tampa 2,
Yeah.
that was a bend but don't
Right.
break defense, but it worked for Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Because they had the right philosophy and they played it all the time. Now,
Yep.
Chicago played that too for a while, but it wasn't as successful as in Tampa Bay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Detroit adopted that. And it wasn't that good here either because of personnel, number one, and scheme wasn't the best.
Right. Okay. Let's also take a look at the offensive side too. Now, in order for this philosophy to work, the Patriots also score the touchdowns. I mean, that's been one thing that's been hard for the Lions too. Over decades of us watching them, they would get the field goals and not the touchdowns.
See, and
Yeah.
that's the difference that Patricia will bring to
Right.
the offense. He's been showing Matthew Stafford his mistakes.
Right.
He's been with Stafford, looking
Mm-hmm.
over the defense while Stafford looks at the same thing so they can talk about what he's seeing. That
Right.
type of thing. The even threat of a run game down by the end zone and the 3rd and 1 situations, it's exactly when we
Right.
need them. And LeGarrette Blount will do that for us.
Oh yeah.
So I think our 3rd and 1 situations where we would shoot ourselves in the foot and have to kick a
Mhm.
field goal because we can't convert a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd
Right.
and 1 because we have to pass and everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
So that part might be taken care of by Kerryon Johnson. Who knows?
Right.
I'm high on the guy in
Hopefully.
2016, but not 2017.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that. So, or LeGarrette Blount,
Mhm.
Theo Riddick out of the backfield. Who knows? Mayor Abdullah may make an appearance, actually, and not
Yeah.
screw up. But the thing is, we have weapons.
Yeah, we do.
Kenny Galladay wasn't mentioned.
True.
Marvin Jones,
Yeah.
Golden Tate. We have weapons.
Yep.
And we have an underrated weapon, I believe, at tight end
Mm-hmm.
with Roberts. And I think that he scored a lot of touchdowns
Right.
for Toledo. And it could be a secret weapon for us.
Yeah, it could be.
There's not very many people talking about Michael Roberts, but he was assigned to a blocking role
Right.
last year because they let Ebron have the wide receiver role.
Yeah, see
as
if
a
he
tight
could.
end.
Yeah, see if Ebron could actually take control and really
Ebron
do
had a
something.
good year.
Yeah.
He did have a good year.
Mhm.
He wasn't worth $8 million.
No.
That was the whole
Right.
deal there.
Okay.
You know, I mean, but
Mhm.
Ebron was coming into his
Yeah.
own.
Right.
I really believe that. I thought he had a really good year. I watched film where he scored some touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
made some big plays. So it will be missed.
Right.
But Roberts wasn't allowed to do what
Yeah.
he can do. And I believe he can.
Yep. Now, do you think that maybe in some ways some of the things might have been held back so that when Quinn actually had his coach in there that he wanted in there?
I don't know about held back, but the scheme's different.
Right.
So players didn't fit as well. But Michael Roberts, that wasn't the case.
Right.
His deal was that, honestly, at the tight end position, I guess you could have two wide receiving tight
Right.
ends, but you need someone to block.
Yeah.
So they assigned him to that role for the most part and let Ebron do what Ebron does.
Right.
But now that you don't have him, you need someone to step into that role. And so the role has changed for Michael Roberts
Right.
to me. Now, we have other tight ends too. Luke Wilson should have a big year too. It's a big target as well. So, I mean, I think we're going to be okay there.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised if we sign a tight end that can catch the ball pretty well, sometime during training camp.
And that would be, which starts when?
It starts the 27th.
Yep. Which
Friday
is
coming
Friday.
up.
Yeah. Awesome. And
we're going to have to, it's going to be nice to talk about the injuries they've been hiding all year. And, sorry. Because they always come out. I think it's going to be next Tuesday. I might even be Friday when they have to report injuries.
Yep.
But when they have to report them,
Right.
all of a sudden you're going to see all the players that we don't
And
have.
then your mouth drops open and say, oh, my God.
What?
One thing we have seen, too, is where they have been building depth.
Yes.
So hopefully
Hopefully
this
that
is-
has helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, okay, so we already have one player out for the year that we
Right.
know of, the fullback that we drafted in the 7th round.
Right.
But I really want to go back to this offense and defense and what do I think about the bend but don't break.
Okay. All right.
Because Matthew Stafford throws every year for about 4,000 yards.
Oh, yeah.
So he's – and with a threat of a running game and a play action
Pass.
that would actually strike fear
Right.
in the hearts of a defense,
Oh,
drawing
God.
safeties up, linebackers up, those guys one-on-one, he's been thrown into two people coverages and still
Right.
completing passes. This could make his job a lot easier. It
True.
could send the interceptions down and the completion percentage up, those type of things. Also, it sets up a shorter third down.
Right.
If you have a running game and you pick up 4 or 5 yards on first down instead of losing 3,
Right.
there's less pressure on Stafford. There's more options on the offense, but the defense is the key to me.
Right. Okay. Now this is not to get off topic.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Okay. Now, do you believe that
Yes, I do.
Matthew Stafford is going to score well enough to go ahead and, if you had a fantasy football team, to pick him as your quarterback for it?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not a fantasy football player.
I
And
know you.
we have Kevin Frentner for
Right.
that, the Roar. And that's part of the reason we have him on our team
Right.
because he knows more about fantasy than I do.
Yeah.
I know a lot about scheme and about the different things that they're going to do and what I've seen before.
Yeah.
I study a lot as in those type of things.
Right.
And that's why I want to bring that information to our fans because I'm just a fan. This is just observation.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to explain a defense that people haven't even seen yet.
Right.
So that's going to be difficult because I'm not 100%, but this is what I see.
Right.
Because this is the defense he ran in New England.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to be too much dissimilar. So
Right.
if it is that bend but don't break thing, they allowed the least amount of points in the NFL last year.
Which is great.
And had a lot of takeaways.
Yeah.
So it does work in certain situations
Right.
if you use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you just use it in the fourth quarter because you just want to hold the other team back and you've changed
Right.
your whole philosophy, it doesn't seem to work.
Yep. Because
But
you're
if
not
it is
as
your
good.
philosophy, I think it's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to do it better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but it's going to be a lot of different looks and a lot of different
Oh, yeah.
confusing things. It's not going to be like, okay, just go ahead and get 5 yards. It's going to be a challenge every single down
Right.
for teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so That, and I think we have better personnel than New England did.
True. Yeah, because that was one of the things they kept on saying. He did good for what he had.
Right. And everybody's screaming for pass rushers, and I'm telling you,
we don't need them.
To.
Right.
I mean, we need them, but we don't need them.
Right.
We got Ziggy for the year. We did not get to a long-term agreement, which we predicted weeks ago that we would not. And nobody believed we were going to have a long-term deal with him. We want to see him healthy for 16 games before we commit to somebody that's getting older. Let's be honest. We can draft somebody.
Yeah, we can.
Our pass rushing specialist, because I'm going to say that now. I'm not. Used to be a right end, left end.
Right.
That was your pass rusher, was your right end. Not anymore.
Right. Okay.
Not anymore. You've got linebackers. You've got safeties. You've got corners. You've got. I mean, then you do have the defensive tackles inside, and this is not the same defense, guys.
So basically, you're not going to know who's going to be the one to come at you.
Right.
And which is,
Ziggy won't have his hand in the dirt all the time. What that means is, the rushers that have their hands down in the dirt up on the line, he's not going to do that all the time. He's going to be wandering up and down the line, getting into an A gap, B gap, whatever gap he runs through to get to the quarterback.
And oh boy,
I would hate to be. If you've got Ashawn Robinson and Sylvester Williams taking up a double team each, that means Ziggy has a spot to get into the quarterback, or people like Quandre Diggs or Tavon Wilson, who tackles like crazy.
Right.
He's a good tackler.
Yep. So basically, you're predicting that we're going to see a lot more sacks and a lot more.
I do believe we'll have more sacks.
Yeah.
I do believe we'll have probably a similar amount of turnovers, maybe a little more. We were pretty good at turning the ball over. But of course, we have Darius Slay.
Yep.
And that really helps us with turnovers.
Yep.
And they, under Coach Caldwell, I will give him credit. We try to strip the ball a lot.
Right.
We try to cause fumbles. We try to cause, put the hand on the football, put the nose of the helmet on the football. Those type of things he taught well. Because we watch film, they do it.
Yeah. And actually, he was, for his tenure with the Lions, he was the most winning percentage coach in history, wasn't he?
Yes. I'm not sure history. No, not history.
Well, recent
history. I think since Super Bowl era.
Yeah.
Not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure.
It seems like we went back and looked at it offline, and it was
we did. We went back and we researched it, but I'm not sure. We only went back to like the 70s.
Like the Fonts era.
Yeah.
It seems like it was. Because,
we went back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Just before Monty Clark,
right.
I think.
There was that one guy from Michigan that might have been better, but they
no, he was 7-4, so his percentage was still down.
Yeah.
But anyway, so defensively, you can expect the pass rush from everywhere. Right. The defensive tackles are there to take up space. They're not there to rush the passer. So guys, when you're looking at our defensive tackles and saying, "Oh man, we don't have a pass rushing defensive tackle," that's not what we're looking to do. For the most part,
right?
There's times we're going to play a 4-3. And they're going to be asked to do different things.
Right.
But we'll use someone like Deshaun Hand, who is a pass rusher, who can also play defensive tackle at 300 pounds.
Definitely.
You've got him as a defensive end that's 300 pounds.
Right.
But let me tell you why. We have a nose tackle in the middle, which could be Williams. We have an end on one end, which could be Ashawn Robinson.
Right.
And then another end, which could be Deshaun Hand. Those type of people, or maybe Hyde or somebody like that to get to the quarterback.
Right.
But those guys are basically there to suck up the space.
Yep.
To take up double teams. Yeah, they're going to try to rush the passer because they need to. They need to sell that. They need people to try to block them.
Right.
So if they take those gaps up, they take those two people up. Well, there's only so many offensive linemen.
True.
Unless they play unless they're going to have to play a big offensive line with two tight ends in the whole 9 yards. But you're taking off weapons off the field.
Yep. So hopefully they can get some smackdown on some quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, God, yes.
Also Minnesota's quarterback.
And that's tough for me because he went to Michigan State. I know. And I kind of like him.
But he's
as a person or whatever.
Yeah, like him as a person, but on the field, we don't want to see him win.
Right.
We want to see
against us.
Yeah.
We want to see him. That's confusing for me because I love it when Green Bay loses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Minnesota is clearing away the team to beat in this division.
Right. If it's Minnesota playing Green Bay, and it
depends.
And we need Minnesota to lose in order for the Lions to make the playoffs. Sure,
what do?
We're going to
We
go.
shut off the TV and whatever happens, happens.
No, we go ahead and we root for the Packers.
I won't root for Green Bay. I don't care. I just won't do it. I won't do it. I refuse. I want the rest of the people to listen to the show to really get a good idea of how the Lions are going to try to win. And so with Patricia, the way he thinks and the way he goes about his business, I think we're going to be and it may not be the first year.
Right.
Because he may not have all the players he needs yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it will be soon. And we will be contenders for a long time to come.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're just going to be a 1-year flash in the pan, this is whatever. We're building something here.
Right.
And I think we're going to build it for a long term.
Well, of course, as far as for recent years, for quite a few recent years, New England has been that dynasty.
And dynasties are hard to do when everything is geared towards everybody being equal.
Mm-hmm.
The salary cap and all this stuff, and just the way the NFL is.
And, of course, free agency where you can just use, where you can go ahead and sell everything off for a couple of years, basically. Yeah. And some teams do that.
And New England's been really good at knowing when to sell and knowing when to buy and how much.
And they have... they have gotten, players like Randy Moss at the end of his career, but they used him to win. And then when he was
guys
done,
that were in their prime and they traded him.
Right.
To get the best value for the trade. They trade them away, and they got players right in the back of them that fit that scheme that may not have had as much talent, but they fit the scheme and they don't miss a beat. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm. And then they know they're also really awesome at developing players that have been all used up, and we're basically like not even we're never a nobody for their team, but then they go to New England and they're a somebody.
Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right. Yeah, I know.
It's and that's the thing. And we not only got Matt Patricia,
right,
who understands their defense and their philosophy and stuff like that. We have Bob Quinn, that's been there equally as long, that understands how to recognize talent.
Yep.
And what he was thinking with the long snapper thing, that much I don't understand.
Right.
He didn't know that Don Muhlbeck will live forever.
Yep.
He will be effective until he's 90, I think, because he gets signed every single year.
Right. But, when you sign every year, then it's like, you can see where you're
it's an annual tradition where he signs his 1-year contract every year.
So, obviously, Quinn didn't do his homework about him.
Maybe he was just thinking that this guy might not show up this year. I don't know. He might not come in to do his 1-year deal this year. Who knows?
Right.
But that was the only one that I really questioned. I mean, he had some picks that left. Antoine Williams wasn't very good. Dwayne Washington's on the verge of getting cut, but we don't know how that's going to work out.
Right.
But for the most part, we have a very good new scouting department. We've had better drafts.
Right.
We have Bob Quinn, who brought in, when Calvin Johnson left, first person he brings in is Marvin Jones.
Right.
Marvin Jones has been spectacular on occasion. Sometimes he'll show up, and then sometimes he'll disappear. But then Golden Tate shows up.
Right.
And then he drafts Kenny Galladay.
Yep. Who's your breakout player of the year?
My breakout player of the year.
Yep.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he doesn't get hurt, that guy's going to put up a lot of yards. And if he gets the touches. But Stafford was confident in him. His first game, he got 2 touchdowns.
But I think Stafford himself cannot wait for this season to start.
Oh, I can't.
I think he's but I really think that he's anticipating that this is going to be a great year for Lions.
I agree. I think it's going to be, and that's what's hard for me because it's a very hard schedule, especially they had an article about it being hard for the run game because these are some of the top defenses against the run that we play this year.
Yep.
Well, it's a good test.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good test to see where we're at. I think this schedule this year, as brutal as it is, will let us know where we are.
Right.
And if we're that contender or not, we'll find out really quickly this year.
And I think the main thing that the Lions need to do is they just not need to let it break them. Because you go in there, teams can go in there and they can go ahead and lose a game.
Right.
And then, and then they're done because they lose the confidence.
That, and I don't think, that's the thing I don't think is going to happen this year.
Right.
There's two things that I'm looking for. One, a big win, and then a big loss after a big win. Because I don't think that's going to happen as much. Mm-hmm. Say we beat New England.
Right.
That would be a huge win.
It sure would.
Okay, and then we let down the next week against whoever it is we play the next week. But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
The thing is with the Lions, that's a Lions letdown.
Yeah. Right.
That's what it is. We do that all the time.
Lose, or barely beat Cleveland.
Or lose to the Bears.
Right, yeah.
Or somebody, that's not as talented as New England. I don't think we're going to play down to our competition.
No.
And I don't think that we're going to, I think we're going to be even keeled.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because he's going to have a game plan for every game, offense and defense. Mm-hmm. And something's going to be different every game. So they have to practice and with a different intensity because it's a different defense and it's a different scheme and it's a different. So there's more learning. There's more attention paid to it. So it wipes your mind easier of, okay, let's go back to the room and do the same things we did every. You know what I'm saying? We'll install a couple of new things for this team, but that's it. And it gets old.
Yeah. Now, see, that's what I was trying to get. The point that I was trying to get a couple of weeks or a week ago when we were talking about, where I really didn't like predicting wins or losses because I think that you need to go out there and just, you may not win every game, but you need to go out there and be ready to win every game.
But you just don't want to put your rear end on the line, and that's what we do. Predictions are part of our business. That's what we do.
But
you know what I'm saying?
See, to me, it can be a down. To me, it can be a downer too. Okay,
can be.
If I look at it, okay, well, this team's better than us. That team's better than us. We're probably going to lose to this team, or we're going to win this team, beat this team, or whatever. To me, I think that. Sure, they may be better on the roster, but it doesn't mean that they're going to play better that week.
I agree.
It's bringing the emotion, bringing it to that field every week, week in and week out, and knowing that you fought that battle. And shoot, if you lose, you lose.
But most players don't listen to the news,
right?
Or shows like ours or anything like because they block out the noise and they call that noise,
right?
But to your point, brings me to a topic.
Yep.
USA Today predicts 6-10 for the Detroit Lions, and it's more blatant disrespect by people that just don't know this team, and I really believe that. I think we're going to be better.
Yeah.
Than 6-10 for sure.
Right.
I've got us at 9-7. My problem is we are the Lions. If New England had this team, New England would be picked to be in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But since it's the Lions,
right.
They have Tom Brady. We have Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's a darn good quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's not a Tom Brady.
But maybe he's better now.
I don't know if he's better than
Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Not gonna say that.
Is kind of like at the he's older. Is he still in his prime?
I want you to take a look at something. And guys out there, 2014's team, USA Today predicted us to be 4-12 that year. We were 11-5.
Wow. Okay.
So take it with a grain of salt, folks. That 2014 team had a really good defense, and a very good team, and they predicted that team to be 4-12.
Yep.
There were 7 more wins than they predicted. 2015 they said 7-9. It was 7-9.
Yep.
In 2016 they predicted 7-9, and we were 9-7.
Right.
2017 they predicted 5-11, and we went 9-7.
Oh wow.
So they do not like the Detroit Lions.
No, they don't.
So USA Today, you might want to look at your predictions for the past few years and figure that you have gotten it right once and been terribly wrong the rest of the time.
Right.
And always you have taken the Detroit Lions and underestimated them.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 times. And I'm going to tell you, this year you've underestimated this team again. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go, I'm not going crazy like 11-5 or maybe even 10-6. But 9-7 is where I'm at right now. They could surprise us, or they could get devastating injuries and it could go down.
Yep.
But that's the entire thing with this national media that decides that they know more than the local people, because our local beat writers have done 9-7s and stuff like that. 8-8. It's kind of where most people are that know the team.
Right.
Everybody outside is kind of a joke to me.
Yeah, but it's easier to pick ones in the past that have won, and I think that's what they're doing. They'll go ahead and look at the records of previous teams and previous seasons and stuff like that, and not really know the team and not really give the
or they'll look at the
chances.
schedule, say it's the Browns or the Lions or the Dolphins maybe even, and say, well, they'll never beat this team without even looking at them. And maybe they do look at them, but if they did, they would never give them that.
Right.
6-10 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Barring major injury.
Yep.
Okay, if Stafford got injured, yes. Yeah, 6-10 is pretty reasonable. And I don't think we'd win 6.
Right.
I don't. But, with Stafford, I don't think that's I think it's crazy.
Even the Eagles and the Vikings, they had their top quarterback, that went ahead and, got injured and people filled in.
Oh, I agree, but we have Matt Castle.
I know.
Or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudock, sorry.
Don't worry, Rudock. It's just, he does the same to Kerryon.
Bags. And, I don't know. And then I have one other thing I wasn't talking about this week. You guys think the same thing as I do on this, or maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
The Good Morning Football on the NFL Network.
Yep.
One of the people there predicts Kerryon Raven Johnson as offensive rookie of the year. Tim, do you support this? You like Kerryon Bags Johnson?
Well, I don't know enough about him, but I just think that Patricia did, and Quinn when they hired him. But it's also it depends on how he does and how the Lions actually run him. If they go ahead and they give him a lot of carries and he goes ahead and steps up, he could be. Right. But if he doesn't have the chance and the touches, Well,
I'm going to break this down for you. All right, class is in session.
Okay. All right, Teacher Jim.
Here we go.
Professor
Kerryon
Jim
Johnson will not win Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And here's why.
Yeah.
Number 1, prevent defense.
Right.
The defense is going to be on the field a little bit longer. There's less touches for the offense.
Right.
There's less series for the offense. Number 2, and these are not in order of importance. Number 2, rookie offensive linemen, right? That offensive line is not proven yet.
Right.
And we'll see how they do. They have some of the top run defenses they're going to face this year against inexperienced linemen on one side, and the other side has got T.J. Lang and Wagner. So that's a good side. Maybe they run that way. But still, that's a reason. Yep. Number 3, weapons. There's only so many touches to go around.
Right.
You have Golden Tate, Kenny Galladay. You have Marvin Jones. And I'm also thinking the tight end position, Theo Riddick out of the backfield. Amir Abdullah may make a miracle thing out of himself and do something.
Right.
Next one, running back by committee.
Yeah. Right.
If we are going to do running back by committee, which they said they were going to do, he still gets less touches.
Right.
The less he touches the ball, the less he will be able to get into a rhythm, and the less he will be able to produce.
Yeah.
If he gets into a rhythm and he's able to get 4 or 5 yards of carry, he may be a featured back. But you still got little Garrett Blunt. What are you going to do? Sit him on the sidelines? You're not. He's a rookie. Rookie running backs sometimes do very well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. But in this particular situation, I think he'd need to be a 1,000-yard rusher. And the lady that brought this up, she said that he was going to be a 1,000-yard rusher.
Right.
No way I believe that. No way.
Well, you definitely have your valid points. I'm not going to try to argue that. I do think it's a little out there myself as far as for him to be Rookie of the Year. Just from hearing that all along, that the running back by committee and stuff like that. But if he can go ahead and improve himself, and then they give him the touches, if they do, then he could. It's definitely too early to say, hey,
well, I mean,
he's going to do that.
You're basing a lot on ifs.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm...
If he would have to show a superstar thing to take over when you're planning on doing running back by committee in the first place. But number two, how often are we going to be running the ball?
It depends on how effective we do it.
And how many... Okay, so we have a 60-minute game.
Right.
If the defense plays a prevent defense...
Right.
They'll allow more yardage, more time on the field, more time in possession for the other team. That takes away, I'm just being honest, if this is what's going to happen, it's going to take away touches from the offense.
Right.
Because the offense won't be getting the ball back as quickly. If this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So that's one of those that I base on kind of if.
Right.
Okay. But it's not if to say that Matthew Stafford's going to throw the ball a lot.
No, it's not.
Because he's going to.
Back when Dallas had Troy Aikman and stuff, you still had Emmitt Smith that was getting touchdowns, but you still had
how many wide
receivers.
Receivers did they have?
They had a couple real good ones, Mike Irving and
exactly Jason Witten as the tight end.
But no, they also had another one opposite of Mike Irving.
Right,
and
we got three legitimate targets on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Jones is maybe the number one. But Golden Tate's 1A.
Yeah.
Kenny Galladay maybe at when he hits his prime better than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that because Golden Tate has such a different role. He's a slot receiver. He's going to be back in the slot this year, which is good. He makes people miss. Mm-hmm. He's great in the open field. He makes more out of a 10-yard play, something like this, and he'll turn it into a 30-yard play.
Right.
Because he's amazing at that. But Kenny Galladay's a great receiver that goes down the field. So is Marvin Jones. Mm-hmm. Those guys are going to get the touches.
Oh, yeah.
So Matthew Stafford is going to throw the ball.
Right.
And so you're not going to have the touches there.
Right.
You're taking away touches from the defense because of the prevent defense.
Right.
And you're taking away touches because of running back by committee, which means he will not have the touches to get 1,000 yards. Yeah. And I don't think he'll be Rookie of the Year if he doesn't get 1,000 yards.
Right.
So that's my basis for my claim that he will not make Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Offensive
Rookie
of the Year.
And, I mean, like I said, it is valid. Definitely valid. The only way I could see him doing it is, like I say, if he goes ahead and he's just outstanding when he does get the touches.
Yeah, but see, it would take them a few games to even make that transition.
Right.
So he's still going to lose games. Mm-hmm. He would have to be Barry Sanders to make 1,000 yards with this situation.
That's why I'm saying.
But he's not Barry Sanders.
No, yeah, and I'm not trying to say he is, but I'm saying that would be the only way that I could see if he could go ahead and be that type of an impact player, and if they see if they see that in him right away, and they just go ahead and say, all right, we don't need to do running back by committee. This guy's our guy. But he got to prove it.
But also, you don't want to do that anyway because the more touches that a running back gets, the shorter his lifespan is.
Right.
And that's why people do running back by committee anyway nowadays. Usually people have two good running backs that they rely on.
Right.
But they don't generally get 1,000 yards anymore. And the reason for that is because running backs die out quickly in this league.
Right.
They're good and are gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes from great to not great in like a year.
Right.
And it does depend on how many touches they get. So if you want longevity out of this guy, then you're not going to have him touch the ball as much. That's why you have all the extra running backs so that each one can get a turn and do good and be fresh and all those things. The one workhorse running back is really difficult to find. I mean, Le'Veon Bell does a great job in Pittsburgh, even though he kind of, hollers and whines a little bit about contract things a lot. But, But there's a few of them out there that are, the main guy, but there's not a lot.
Right.
There's not a lot.
Right.
And I don't think that he's that type of guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can he develop into that guy? Maybe, but not this year. So that's my thoughts. Guys, if you have other thoughts on that, you can get a hold of us at lionsontheprowl14@gmail.com. We might put your comments on the air, or the Detroit Lions on the Prowl Facebook group.
Right. And before we leave, I definitely want to say Chuck Hill, Maniac Fan of the Month, July.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
We appreciate your support, Chuck. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fellow Maniac.
Fellow Maniac.
Yep.
We're going to hand it off now to Kevin Frentner, the Roar.
Yep.
And he's going to do our Roar Zone for the week. I want to leave you with iHeartRadio. Please follow us on iHeartRadio and Spotify, iTunes. You can find us. And the Detroit Lions on the Prowl Facebook group. Twitter, LOTP14. Lions on the Prowl. We're everywhere. Kevin Frentner has also written, or the Roar, he has written an article for the website. It's a really good article. You might want to check it out. So that you check out the website at lionsontheprowl.com. Right. And you can also there's also access to the podcast there if you want to go and listen there. Tim, you got anything else you want to bring up this week?
Well, I'm just going to say share it with your people, share it with your friends. One thing nice about iHeartRadio and Spotify, you can go ahead and if you have one of those newer cars, you can go ahead and play it right on your phone through your radio system.
Right. For this week,
that's
going to be it. For me and Tim, we welcome you to the Roar Zone.
And now, brought to you by the Maniacs of Lions on the Prowl.
Here is the Roar Zone with Kevin Frentner, a.k.a. The Roar.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim and Tim. And by the way, wonderful job this week. All right, let's hit back in here. We got my second week of doing this as a solo. Last week we talked about some of the key players that we might want to pick on fantasy on the Detroit Lions. And I left it with this week talking about how our defense could possibly be a sleeper pick as a whole. Now, I get this quite a bit, and it kind of takes me back to think, everybody says, the doubts. First-time head coach, okay? Well, he's just not going to do it. He's just not going to do it. Nobody fares well when they leave Coach Belichick. Most people look at things this way, but I look at them differently. Nobody has until somebody does. It's not going to go on forever this way. Somebody is going to break that spell and be a great coach. Now, I've talked to people around the league, from that area. Buffalo fans, and New England fans, New York Jets fans. And they'll tell you that Patricia is a great coach. The players tell you what a great coach he is. They love the guy. And they know what he brings to the table. These are certain things that we overlook. Because what I hear all the time is that our defense isn't going to get it cut because New England's defense, look at what they had. They were, they're always ranked lower. But in the same sense, they are always ranked in the top 10 in scoring. Okay, this goes to the kicker that I think people don't understand. If you can score points on your defense and you have an offense that is, as what the Patriots have, and a Tom Brady. Electric weapons all across the way. The defense needs to be there. And when I say be there, it means, as they say, do your job. Okay? And that is exactly the case, because if you do your job, which is the simple basics in it, you will fare well. You will do well. And that's a given on anything you look at. So when you look at a team where he comes from, and these people will just, they're quick to tell you something on the negative side of it, or how somebody won't do. But I would like you to take a look at this, is every time I ask them, can you name me? How many players on this team? How many players can you name me on the defense for the New England Patriots? And then I quickly stop them with saying, besides Hightower, besides Butler. And you know what I get? I might get a name, maybe two. Okay? People in that area will know a little bit more. But, even still, they are just a bunch of no-name guys out there. Now, when you look at the style of the coaching and the style of play on the defense, notice how they hit. Okay? Take a look at some film. Watch New England's defense. Who gets to the ball? What happens when they get to the ball? When they get there, they are a very aggressive team. They hit hard, they swarm the ball, and follow the play. See, when you look at these things, and as I said, only, 2, 3, a handful of guys that you might know on defense, to where now you're looking at a Detroit Lions defense, which I think he had his hand in here in building, okay, this entire time that Bob Quinn has been here. And I think that you look at some of these players, and what they love to do is they like to pick the guys who aren't the big names, who are the, the overlooked guys, and things to where, well, you don't have the speed. We're not seeing it. Or, the height or the ability or this and that when you went to the combine or however it is that you want to see this. But the truth of the matter is, these guys are coming not to be the big stars. Why do I say this? Because we have stars. Okay? You got Glover Quinn, who is our interceptions leader. Right, last year he led with getting on them fumbles. Darius Slay, who's learning from him, is only 5 interceptions away from tying his most interceptions record. So, needless to say, these guys are out there. We move Diggs over. Okay? Diggs can play everywhere. Anything you want him to play, he can do it. So, and he's having more success in where he's been moved to, which I really like. I think that was one of the best moves I've seen, as I've said. Okay, you take your defense as in a whole, is we're looking for contributors in depth. See, that's what New England brings to the table, and they always have. Not just a defense that's just stacked with names, and then they're doing something. And that works sometimes, but then again, sometimes it does not. You can see people paying all this money, and take a look at some of the past from these big names. And it's crazy. Don't be surprised if the Rams, who have stacked up with big names, stumble. Because we overlook some of the other problems that lies in that. The locker room. You get the names, the arrogance, the problems, these guys aren't showing up. These guys aren't ready to come at you like these little guys who want the job. So I like that better. And this is, some of the reasons why I say the Lions defense may actually just be good. And it goes to our coaching and some of the things that I really, really like. And I'll start with the defensive line and Bo Davis. When Bo Davis has been out there for 21 years, okay, he's been on the defensive side of the ball, okay, as in 4 seasons with Alabama, he helped them go 42-10 in a record over 4 years. It's astonishing. So you can't tell me that he's not good, or you can't tell me that Alabama is just that good. Because what I'm telling you is, where does it start from? It starts up front, both sides of the ball. I mean, that's a given. Okay? And if you don't have that up front, well, us Lions fans have seen we can't run the ball if you ain't got it up front. The quarterback doesn't have time. He can't do the things that he needs to do. It doesn't work so much. Everything starts up front. Where did we lack last year? That's right. We can't stop the run. We can't pass rush the ball. Bo Davis brings to the table, he is an awesome leader and an amazing teacher. Okay? You take Robinson and Hand, which, as I said, I think Hand's going to be very good. May take him just a moment. He's going to get into the groove. He's going to be put into a lot of spots, as was talked about. Ziggy Ansah now playing in the franchise tag. If you look at some of the other ones we've had, how they fared out, and we don't use it very often. Robert Porcher was on one. Cliff Averill was on one. Let's see, who else? Off the top of my head, those are a couple that I can think of. We had a defensive tackle. Corey Redding. Those are some franchise tags, and some of them did not. But see, when he plays on the tag, you don't tag for a third time. Teams aren't going to do it. The NFL will just cost too much money. And you have to give up picks, or a pick. I think it's your first, second round pick to keep somebody, okay, for the following year. And teams don't do that. That's too expensive. Plus, the price tag to pay somebody is over $20,000 or $20 million bucks or something. It's insane. So what happens is you're forced into either offer a contract, and then at that point they're unrestricted, so they can decide if you don't want the contract, they can go somewhere else if offered from somebody. Now, what people don't understand, that doesn't mean, as of right now, okay, they had the time. Somebody could have taken Ansah. They could have offered up. They could have offered him a contract, better, but they didn't. We see how he plays. So we know that he can perform when healthy and when it seems that he wants to maybe, but it's one of those things where we need to see it for a full season on a consistency basis. When we play these hard, good teams, we need to see you. Not just ending out the season and it looks great and these teams aren't having a winning record, because it's time now to beat winning teams. Our schedule gives us all opportunity to show them all wrong. So Ansah, I think if he wants to play anymore, is going to come out here and he's going to have to find a way to stay healthy, which I think he will, in the way that he'll be used in Patricia's scheme. I think that will help him. I think he's going to do well. I do think that Hyder comes back, like I said, and you got Anthony Zettel. Now you got our linebackers, coached by Al Golden, who Al Golden was a defensive-minded coaching, okay? Did a lot of linebacking coaching. But for the past 2 seasons, he was a tight ends coach. Some people think that's crazy, but the truth of the matter is, lots of coaches do this. Our defensive coordinator, Paul Pasqualoni, he has done that because he was a linebackers coach, and also they push him in for tight end. And the reason they do this is because you look at your coverage, and these linebackers are to cover a tight end. You want to see how they block. You want to see, how they run the routes, where they're going to be, the different things and the different plays. This helps you in getting these young guys to grow. So I think that was Quinn's plan, because he's been tight end coach since he got there, was to gear him up for the speed of Patricia's offense. We are young at the linebacker position, which I like. Now, Davis didn't start out so well, but when you look, it's hard. And people like to criticize when I look at it, and I see it a little bit different. Here's a kid, he's out there, different speed than what the NFL is. You give him this role that was so hard for Whitehead to do. Okay? They're not used to it. But he made it happen. Did the best he could. It is so hard to be good when you do not have a defensive line. Because, as I said, everything starts up front. When you have to blow your assignment to get across the field, okay, or leave your assignment just because you have to pick up the slack. And if you look back at some of the games and some of the film, and you look at some of these players who you're looking at and you're saying, well, they didn't do so well, and that goes on offense, like the offensive line, there's certain things. But if you look back, you're going to find where the mistakes were. Where these little tiny things that could have been just, if it was just a little different, this could have changed everything. These little things are the most important things. So for Davis, it was hard. It was hard to overcome. He did his best. And the problem that came with this is we're talking linebackers, we're talking this, and there is a lot of tackling in the backfield on the wrong side, okay? And it shouldn't be that way. Okay. Problem being is it usually would be that way if the defensive line does their job and slows it down. But they didn't do that. I mean, it was opening doors. With Bo Davis, okay, Pasqualoni, he's been a line coach for quite some time. Heck, he's been a coach since 1972, right? Bo Davis, 21 years coaching. Brings a little bit together here. One of the nice things that we don't realize is these coaching and the team that was put together, they've all worked together. They for the most part, they learned who each other are, how each other coaches. So it's not like we have to put this together. All we got to do is, okay, I get it. Let's do this. Here's what we got. Get the players on page. People say, well, the defense, they're going to have to learn this new stuff. And do you think it's going to be actually that hard for them to learn? We've got good players. Look at the guys coming up, okay? Jamal Agnew. Heck, we use him. He's like a utility guy. He does the returns. We've used him a little on offense. One of my favorite little plays there was this little, comes around and steals the ball from right in front of Stafford and turns the corner. A little sweep out there. But it's a different look and the different things that we're going to start seeing from Bob Quinn, which will be nice, all right? And our secondary will be no less. I mean, they should be better. When you put these things together, and everybody says, what about the defense? What about this? If you have the right coaching, your defense can be great. All these guys are professional players. If you coach them up right, they're going to be good. And I have high hopes, a lot of confidence in this coaching staff together. I really do. I think we are going to be a team that, where we thought we struggled, and when we have the depth, we will be enough in how they are coached to play the ball. I think we'll be electric out there. And like I said, and I'll bring it back to this, like the Patriots, all they had to do was keep up. It's what they had to do. Do your job. Don't let the other team score more points. Other teams are going to score. That's a given. Just don't let them score more than you. When you have an offense like the Patriots had, they could do whatever. The defense just had to keep up. And what's nice is when you can score points, well, that's just even better. So, looking at this now, the defense to be good, when you have an offense like we have, we will win games. We will beat these teams. Offense is pretty stacked. That's a given. We'll run the ball. We'll have good plays. Cooter's going to come out showing us some things. Finally, I know it. I feel it. And so what I said is, all the defense has to do is keep up. Keep the tone. And I think they will. I would like to give a shot to the Lions defense. Okay, so you guys know I am going to pick the Lions defense on one of mine. Whether they're good or not, but I want to see for myself, because I see something in a sleeper defense. I love the fact of the media coverage. I love, in my eyes, where, well, they're going to do 6-10, and they're not going to do good. They're going to fall apart. Coaching's not going to be good. You know, our defense will be terrible. Okay, great. Now, when they talk about these things, there's also going to be that story at the end. Did you see what the Lions did? Oh my gosh. Look at them go. Wow, this coach, blah, blah, blah. It's going to come. And the media is going to get it. How many years have they put us down? Okay? Think about this at the beginning of the seasons. Because I see everybody worked up about this 6-10. How many years, and looking at what we have, how many years have they put us down in the dumps? How many times? Now, Chicago can be better than us. We're going to be in last place. Wonderful. Now you just motivate us. But every year, the tone starts to change. We're starting to hear them. They're on TV. Here was this team. What can the Lions go? Where, Stafford's looking MVP. Every single year, they always count us out. Except, I think they had us one year where they were talking good about us. And then, of course, we didn't show up and we didn't show them. Well, and that's what I say is why we're going to be good is this coaching. I tell you, I've never been so excited for the Lions because of this coaching. It's the way, it's the style, it's the things that, there's a finesse to it. Detroit Lions defense, as a scary one if you play fantasy football, is a gamble. That's right. We know this. We know what we have to look at what they've done. I want to tell you this. Just a few years back, when we had that, what was it, number 3 ranked defense, where did it come from? And we had no secondary, really. It wasn't electric like it is now. Well, Quinn had a good year, but other than that, our DBs weren't anything lights out. We just had a lot of picks out there. Think about those things, and then you think, the Detroit Lions defense will play as a solid unit. So, I'm going to take them. I will take them, I think, on one. But, like I said, I don't want to have too many players and not have a defense a certain week and, too many guys off because I have Lions or something. But I thank you all, and I hope that helps. As I say, give the Lions defense a shot. It might be one of those things where you're just like, oh my gosh, right? Why not? I mean, other teams obviously are better. We know that Jacksonville's going to, have a better. It's some of these teams, like I said, with the big names. I'm sure the Rams will have good defense, but I don't see them being exactly what the hype is. I see other issues there that might hinder that. So, well, thanks everyone for having me. Again, make sure, check up those stats. Take a look at some of the players. Click the link up top, Pro Football Focus, and, see for yourself on these things. Get your tips. Get your thoughts. They offer the best, and everybody uses them. Plus, it helps out our page. I can give you this, and as I sign out, the Go Lions. One pride. All day, every day, feel my roar. Until next week, y'all be safe. Have fun. Football is coming upon us. I will see you all next week. Thank you very much.